I am an IT consultant with a thriving business and have always prided myself on helping my parents financially. Last month, while searching for tax documents at their house, I accidentally discovered something shocking. Their will left everything to my brother Thomas. Their house retirement accounts, and every family heirloom. I was only getting my father's watch. After years of paying their bills, I quietly stopped. A month later, Mom texted me, "The mortgage is due, no greeting. No small talk." Before I tell you what happened when my mom texted me about the mortgage, let me know where you are watching from, and hit that like button if you have ever felt betrayed by family. I grew up in a middle-class neighborhood in Phoenix, Arizona, where my parents worked hard to provide a comfortable life for my brother and me. My father was a dedicated construction foreman, while my mother taught at the local elementary school. From an early age, I showed academic promise, consistently bringing home straight Nadarda, as on my report cards. My teachers often told my parents I had a bright future ahead of me. College was a struggle financially, but I was determined to get my degree without burdening my parents. I worked 3 jobs simultaneously, while maintaining a full course load. Mornings at the campus cafeteria, evenings at the library, and weekends at a local computer repair shop. Those years taught me the value of hard work and self-reliance. I remember many nights surviving on ramen noodles and coffee, studying until 3 in the morning, only to wake up at 6 for my morning shift. Despite the exhaustion, I never complained or asked for help. My brother Thomas took a different path in life. 2 years younger than me, he was the popular one in school. Athletic, charismatic, and always surrounded by friends. While I buried myself in books, he was winning trophies and going to parties. Our parents never explicitly favored one of us over the other, but I noticed they attended every single one of his football games while rarely asking about my academic achievements. After graduating with honors in computer science, I quickly landed a job with a respected IT consulting firm. Within 5 years, I had worked my way up to senior consultant and eventually started my own business. My client list grew, and so did my bank account. Meanwhile, Thomas struggled to find his footing after high school. He bounced between retail jobs, never staying anywhere longer than 6 months. When he did work, he spent his paychecks immediately on expensive clothes and nights out with friends. Everything changed when my father suffered a heart attack at 58. It was a wake-up call for our family. The doctor advised him to retire early, which created significant financial strain on my parents. Their savings were modest, and the medical bills started piling up. Without hesitation, I stepped in to help. At first, it was just covering the occasional copay for medications or helping with groceries. But soon I was regularly contributing to their mortgage payments and property taxes. "Washington, we do not know what we would do without you," my mother said one Christmas, when I handed them an envelope containing a check to cover their property taxes for the year. "You are such a blessing to us." My father, never one to show much emotion, had tears in his eyes as he gripped my shoulder. "Son, we are so proud of the man you have become. Those moments made every dollar worth it." I felt valued and appreciated, secure in my role as the reliable son who took care of his parents. When their roof needed replacing after a particularly severe monsoon season, I wrote a check for $20,000 without blinking. When Mom needed dental work not covered by insurance, I handled the $8,000 bill. I even funded their anniversary cruise to Alaska, something they had dreamed about for years, but could never afford. Throughout those years, I was also building a relationship with my girlfriend, Sophia. We met at a charity event, and she quickly became my rock, always encouraging my generosity toward my family. "Your kindness is one of the things I love most about you," she would tell me. "Not many people would do what you do for your parents." With her support, I felt even more confident in my role as the family provider. I believed I was securing not just financial stability for my parents, but also my place in the family legacy. How wrong I was. Last month, while my parents were enjoying their annual trip to visit old friends in Tucson, I stopped by their house to organize some financial documents they needed for their tax filing. My father had called asking if I could find their property tax statement and medical expense receipts. As the one who paid for most of these things, it made sense for me to help sort through the paperwork. I was in my father's small home office, searching through his filing cabinet for the tax forms, when I came across a folder labeled Estate Planning. Thinking it might contain information relevant to their finances, I opened it. Inside was their will updated and notarized just 6 months earlier. 6 months after I had paid for their new roof. As I scanned the document, my heart began to race. The language was clear and unambiguous. We leave our primary residence at 1472 Saguaro Lane, all financial accounts, investments, and personal property to our son Thomas James Reynolds. I flipped through page after page looking for my name. Near the end, I finally found it. To our son Washington Allen Reynolds, we leave Robert's watch given to him by his father. My father's watch. That was it. After years of financial support, thousands of dollars paid toward their mortgage, medical bills, home repairs, and vacations, I was getting a watch. A timepiece worth perhaps a few $100s in monetary terms, though I knew it held sentimental value to my father. I sat in the leather office chair document, trembling in my hands, trying to make sense of what I was reading. There must be some mistake, some explanation. Perhaps there was a separate document for me, or a trust I was not aware of. I searched through the entire folder, then the entire cabinet, finding nothing. With shaking hands, I called my parents. They were at dinner with their friends, but my father answered on the third ring. "Washington, everything okay? Did you find those tax documents?" he asked, the sounds of restaurant chatter in the background. "Dad, I found your will," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. A long pause followed. I heard him excuse himself from the table, and the background noise dimmed. "You were going through our personal papers." His tone immediately became defensive, accusatory. "I was looking for the tax documents where you told me they would be. The estate planning folder was right there with them." I explained, my composure beginning to crack. "Why is everything going to Thomas?" Another lengthy silence. Then I heard my mother's voice. Dad had apparently brought her somewhere quieter and put me on speaker. "Washington, honey, we just feel that Thomas needs more help than you do," my mother said, her voice carrying that soothing tone she used when explaining something difficult. "You know how he struggles." "You have always been so capable, son," my father added. "You are successful already. You do not need our money. And Thomas would not manage without the inheritance," my mother continued. "You know how he is with finances." I gripped the phone tighter. "So I am being punished for being responsible, for building a successful life, for helping you all these years." "Do not be dramatic," my father said dismissively. "No one is punishing you. You will be fine without our little house and savings. You make more in a month than we have saved in years." "It is not about the money," I said, my voice now shaking with hurt rather than anger. "It is about what this represents. I have been supporting you for years, paying your bills, your mortgage, your medical expenses, and this is how you show your appreciation. Washington, you know we appreciate everything you do," my mother said, "but you can take care of yourself. Thomas cannot." After that conversation, I drove home in a daze. When I told Sophia what had happened, she held me as I processed the betrayal I felt. But there was something in her eyes I had never seen before, a recognition that lacked surprise. "I hate to say this," she said gently, "but I have wondered for years if your parents were taking advantage of your generosity. They always seem to expect your help without ever really expressing gratitude." Her words hit me hard because deep down I knew she was right. My parents had come to expect my financial support as if it were an obligation rather than a gift. They took my success and generosity for granted while continuing to coddle my brother, who never had to face the consequences of his irresponsibility. The following weekend, we had our regular family dinner at my parents' house. My mother had prepared her signature pot roast, and everyone was gathered around the table. I sat quietly, still processing my discovery and the painful conversation with my parents. "Thomas has some good news," my mother announced cheerfully during dinner. "Tell them, honey." Thomas grinned widely. "I got a job at the mall, assistant manager at the electronics store." My parents beamed with pride as if he had just announced he won a Nobel Prize. The job paid barely above minimum wage, but they acted as if it was a remarkable achievement for a 32-year-old man. "That is wonderful, son," my father said, clapping Thomas on the shoulder. "We always knew you would find your path." As the conversation continued, Thomas started talking about his plans for the house someday, completely unaware that I knew about the will. He talked about which walls he would knock down and how he would convert the garage into a game room. "This house has such good bones," he said enthusiastically. "When it is mine someday, I'm going to make it amazing." My parents exchanged uncomfortable glances, but said nothing to correct his openness about his inheritance. I sat silently, food turning to ash in my mouth. That night, I made a decision. Without announcement or explanation, I would stop all financial support. The first test came the following week, when my parents' car insurance bill arrived in my email. For the past 4 years, I had been paying this bill automatically. This time, I deleted the email without opening it. 2 weeks later, my father needed a prescription, refilled a medication with a $40 copay that I typically covered. My mother texted asking if I could transfer the money for the medication. I read the message but did not respond. At first, my parents seemed confused by my sudden unavailability when it came to money matters, but they did not directly address it. The tension grew during our next family gathering, with meaningful glances exchanged when the topic of bills came up, but still no one said anything directly. Inside, I was struggling with conflicting emotions. Anger at their betrayal, warred with the guilt I felt for potentially causing them financial difficulty. But each time the guilt threatened to overwhelm me, I remembered the will and my parents' dismissive response when confronted. As the weeks passed, I ignored several calls from my parents that coincidentally aligned with their usual payment due dates. Sophia supported my decision, but encouraged me to prepare for the eventual confrontation. "They will have to address this eventually," she warned. "Be ready for when they do." She was right. Exactly 1 month after I discovered the will as their mortgage payment came due, my mother sent me a text that made my blood boil with its entitled brevity. "The mortgage is due." No greeting, no pleasantries, not even a question mark to soften the demand. Just a statement, as if reminding an employee of a task they had forgotten to complete. I stared at those 4 words for a long time, feeling years of resentment crystallize into clarity. I had been nothing but an ATM to them, a convenient solution to their financial problems, while they planned to leave everything to my irresponsible brother. After consulting with Sophia, I crafted a response that would make my position clear. "I think Thomas should handle that since he is getting the house," I replied. The response was immediate and explosive. My phone began buzzing with incoming calls and texts. I let them go to voicemail, listening later to my father's angry message. "How dare you snoop through our personal affairs and then hold it against us? This is our money, our house, and our decision. You have no right to be so selfish. After everything we have done for you, everything they had done for me." I nearly laughed at the irony. My mother's texts were more emotional, heavy with guilt and manipulation. "How could you leave us struggling like this? After all the sacrifices we made raising you, we could lose our home." After a day of bombardment, I finally texted back with a condition: "I am willing to discuss this, but only in person with everyone present. No more hiding or manipulation." They agreed, albeit reluctantly, and we set a date for that weekend. When I arrived at my parents' house that Saturday, the atmosphere was thick with tension. My father sat rigid in his recliner while my mother perched anxiously on the edge of the sofa. Thomas lounged in the corner, looking confused about why he had been summoned to this family meeting. So my father began gruffly, "You want to talk? Let us talk about how you abandoned your family over a misunderstanding." "A misunderstanding," I repeated calmly, having prepared myself for this confrontation. "There is no misunderstanding. I saw the will. I know exactly where I stand in this family." Thomas straightened up. "What will? What is going on?" I turned to him. "Mom and Dad updated their will 6 months ago. They are leaving everything to you. The house, their savings, investments, everything. I get Dad's watch." Thomas's face registered genuine shock. "That cannot be right." "Why would they do that?" "Because they think you need it more," I explained, keeping my voice level. "Because I am successful and can take care of myself. Because apparently being responsible and helping them financially for years means I deserve less, not more." My mother jumped in. "Washington, it is not like that. We just wanted to make sure Thomas would be okay." "At my expense," I added. I then calmly opened my laptop and pulled up a spreadsheet I had prepared. For the past 7 years, I have provided financial support to this family. Let me show you exactly what that looks like. I turned the screen so everyone could see. Line by line, I had documented every payment. The mortgage contributions, the medical bills, the home repairs, the vacations, the car insurance, the property taxes, utility bills during tight months. The total at the bottom was staggering even to me, $147, $842. That is what I have contributed to this family since Dad's heart attack, I said. Almost $150,000. Not loans, not investments, gifts. Because I love you and wanted to help. The room fell silent. Thomas looked stunned, his eyes moving between the spreadsheet and our parents. My father stared at the floor, unable to meet my gaze, while my mother twisted her hands in her lap. I had no idea, Thomas finally said. You never told me Washington was paying for all this. We did not want to burden you, my mother said weakly. Thomas stood up angry now. Burden me. I am 32 years old. You have been letting my brother pay your bills while making me think everything was fine financially, and then you plan to give me everything in your will without even telling me about this arrangement. That is messed up. I had not expected Thomas to take my side, and his reaction seemed to hit my parents harder than anything I had said. We were just trying to protect you both, in different ways. My father attempted to explain, but his justification sounded hollow even to him. Here is my position, I said firmly. I am happy to continue helping this family, but only if things change. First, the will needs to be revised for an equal distribution between Thomas and me. Second, we all attend family counseling to address the deeper issues here. And third, I want transparency in all family financial discussions moving forward. My parents exchanged glances, realizing they had little choice. Their financial stability had come to depend on my support, and they knew it. Fine, my father eventually conceded. We will call our lawyer on Monday. The following 3 months were transformative for our family. Through regular counseling sessions, we uncovered my parents' dysfunctional beliefs about money and favoritism. They admitted they had always seen Thomas as the fragile one needing protection, while viewing me as so capable that I did not need their support or inheritance. Instead of continuing to pay their bills directly, I helped them create a budget and develop financial independence. I taught them to distinguish between needs and wants, to save for unexpected expenses, and to live within their means. It was challenging at first, but gradually they learned to manage without my constant financial input. My relationship with Thomas also improved dramatically. For the first time, we talked openly about our parents' different treatment of us throughout our lives. He confessed that he had always felt inferior to me, and had acted out partly because he could never measure up to my achievements. Learning the truth about my financial support for our parents gave him a new respect for me, and motivated him to become more responsible himself. As for Sophia and me, we got engaged during this period of family transformation. She had stood by me through the entire ordeal, helping me see that putting myself first sometimes was not selfish, but necessary for healthy relationships. When my parents revised their will as promised, dividing their assets equally between Thomas and me, it was less about the monetary value and more about the recognition of my place in the family. I did not need their money, but I needed to know they valued me as much as they valued my brother. The journey to forgiveness was not quick or easy, but it was necessary. I learned that maintaining healthy boundaries did not mean cutting people off. It meant teaching them how to treat you properly. My parents began showing appreciation in more genuine ways, no longer taking my success or generosity for granted. I also came to understand my own role in enabling the dysfunctional dynamic. My people-pleasing tendencies and need for validation had allowed my parents to take advantage of my generosity without question. By standing up for myself, I had not only changed their behavior, but transformed my own self-worth. Our family relationship is different now, stronger in many ways. It is built on mutual respect, rather than financial dependency. We still have Sunday dinners, but the conversations are more honest, the connections more authentic. My parents have learned to be proud of both their sons for different reasons, and Thomas has finally begun to find his own path to success with a new sense of responsibility. The most important lesson I learned through all of this is that love should never be transactional or conditional. Real family supports each other, not out of obligation, but out of genuine care. Sometimes family relationships need to break in order to be properly rebuilt. Today, as I look at the life Sophia and I are building together, I am grateful for that painful discovery and the growth it ultimately brought. Real love means wanting the best for someone without expecting anything in return, but it also means believing you deserve that same love in return. Have you ever had to stand up to family members who took advantage of your kindness? Comment below and share your experience. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe to hear more stories about setting boundaries and building healthier relationships. Share this with someone who might need to hear that it is okay to stand up for themselves even with family. Thank you for listening, and remember, sometimes the hardest conversations lead to the most healing relationships.